Hello guys, welcome back. Today we are just going to have a little bit of a kind of a revision kind for 10th ICSE syllabus, Chief Seattle speech. Now before knowing, I just wanted to tell you that see, when Christopher Columbus arrived on the or you can say on the shores of San Salvador, that is called San Salvador in the Caribbean in 1492. He believed that he actually reached India. So, but what happened is that the people whom he happened to see were not actually Indians. I'm talking about our country, India. Christopher Columbus wanted to come to India, but he happened to reach in Caribbean islands. So the indigenous people who were settled there are called as Indians, or we can also call them as Red Indians. See, Red Indians are the first Native Americans. See, these Red Indians are the people who became extinct in the early 19th century. Now, this total short story deals on Chief Seattle speech, who is actually a Red Indian, or you can say Native American. See, in America, we see most of the people are white and also African Americans nowadays. But before that, before these white people could come into the American continent, that is North American continent, the first people who were staying were the Red Indians. They were the first people who were living in America. Now, these people are nature loving people. They love nature. For them, nature is everything. Everything is connected. Everything that lives on the planet of Earth is connected. That is what they believed. That is what the Red Indians believed in that way. So, here, Chief Seattle's speech is a speech from the leader called Chiefs. His name is Chief Seattle. Okay. Now, this person, this great personality, was born in the year 1786 and he lived till 1866. Now, he was a prominent figure. Okay. He earned his reputation of being both a warrior and a leader. Okay. He is also well known to be an orator. So imagine when he addresses, when Chief Seattle would address to an audience or to public, his voice could be heard at least 1.2 kilometers. Such was the strength of his voice. A great leader and a great personality. And also one of the main person to be a nature lover also you can say. See, he was a leader of a tribe called Squamish tribe of the 19th century in Washington Territory. So we will come to know what is this Washington Territory and all. See, this speech was given in the year 1854. Okay, so this speech was given in the year in the year 1854. It is a speech which is a response to the Governor Isaac Stevens. Now remember that. Okay, so the proposal of nothing but they wanted to buy their lands. See, as I told you earlier, that the white people are the settlers. They settled in America. See, from these white people are from the continent of Europe. So many of these European countries, they were all settlers. Also, they were travelers. As I told you earlier, as you can, if you go through a depth of history, if you think about Vasco da Gama, he had come to India. He was a European traveler. Okay, so there are many other European travelers who wanted to travel India, but actually happened to travel in America. Example was Christopher Columbus. But as they could see that there's a vast land, such a big land, so the white people started to settle in the North American continent. So now, as you already know that Chief Seattle was a Squamish tribe. He was a leader and chief. Chief means head of the particular tribe. He is well known for his courage, daring, and leadership. Okay. So now let us go step by step what it is all about. So let us go in detail about the step. Now, see, Chief Seattle was a kind of a person who controlled 6 tribes, and he had a very friendly relationship and with the local, and he also had a very good relationship with the local whites. And he had since the establishment was done by his father, so since then he has made a very local and a friendly relationship with each and everyone. Okay. See, as I told you earlier, this speech was given in 1854 to respond to Governor Isaac Stevens. Now, Isaac Stevens, what Governor Isaac Stevens was, he proposed a treaty, okay, which later came to know that the Treaty of Point Elliott in the year 1855. Okay, so the treaty that was the agreement that they made, that is nothing but that was called Treaty of Point Elliott in the year 1855. Now, at that time, George Washington was the president of USA. He was the first president of USA. Remember that. So let us know, what is this particular speech really all about? See, as I told you, as in the beginning, that Chief Seattle speech is a speech for his people, for his land, and for his country. Now imagine, these people were the first people, okay? They are the ones who actually are the main people to live in this land. They are the ones to live in this land. They are the ones who are to live in this particular land. But whereas the white people are settlers, they settled, and now they are dominating. Okay, as I told you earlier, the Red Indians are extinct. They are no more right now. Nowadays, we only find in America only white people, only whites we find. Okay, or nowadays, because of African Americans have come because of slavery, which they've been brought from African continent into America, and they've been sold like slaves. Okay, as you can come to know in the poem, that is The Cold Within. And I know why the cage bird sing. If you know the particular poem about it, you will come to know how the white people treated the black African Americans. Similarly, even the white people also treated the Red Indians worse than anything else also. Okay, now, as Chief Seattle describes his speech, there are many ways that we can have to know. Of course, people like us should know what he really wants to tell. So let us come back. Now, I will read out slowly. So I hope that you listen to me very carefully. Okay, please listen to it as much carefully as you can, because there is a lot of reference that he is trying to do it. Now, now let us see what does Chief Seattle says. Yonder sky that was wept tears of compassion upon my people for centuries, untold, and which is to us appears changeless and eternal may change. See, he says, distance is the sky. Yonder means distance. The distance is the sky, and that has brought us tears of sympathy. He says tears of compassion. That means it has brought us tears of compassion upon my people from centuries. That means the sky is the only, what you can say, is the only proof that has brought tears of sympathy to my people for how many years? For centuries, he says. Untold, which is us to appear. He says that it is countless. He says it is countless, that so much that we have been in this particular land, that is in America, it is countless. The days my people have spent, have lived here happily, joyfully, even in sad moments, everything that we cherished, everything is collected, recollected, memorized, or you can say memory is filled up in this particular land, he says. That is what he says. Which is to us appears changeless and eternal may change. He says that it is changeless. It cannot change for us. no matter whatever we are. Just imagine we as an Indian, we follow a particular culture. Every state has its own culture. If you go to Tamil Nadu, Tamil Nadu follows their own culture. If you come to Karnataka, Kannadigas, they follow their own culture. If you go to Andhra, the Telugu people follow their own culture. See, imagine if you go to Kerala, the Keralites follow their own culture. So each and everybody has their own culture which really respects. Similarly, the Red Indians had their own culture. They respected their culture. They respected their people. That is what Chief Seattle says. The first thing he says that he respects his culture. He respects his people. His people have been living in this land for ages and ages. And whatever this land where our people were living, it cannot be forgotten. That is what he's trying to tell. Okay, that is what he's trying to tell in his words, in indirect methods. That is what he's trying to tell. Today is fair, tomorrow it may be overcast with clouds. See, today it is fair, he says, but tomorrow everything will be covered just like how clouds cover the sky. Okay, today it might be good for you, but tomorrow it may be just nothing but a clouds that covers the sky. That is how he says. Okay, my words are like the stars that never change. See, this particular sentence is like a figure of speech. You can say it's a simile. Why simile? Because the word like is there. If you find words like and as are considered to be called as simile. He says that my words are like stars that never change. Of course, when you look at the sky, you see stars. It never changes at all. Okay, it never changes. Okay, so that is why he says, you, whatever word that I give, you have to trust me. That means I don't change. I give respect to my word. So indirectly, what he's trying to tell, he's trying to make a particular thing here. See, if Chief Seattle has come here, he wants to tell to the white Americans that what accusation that you people want, what is it that you people want? Trust me, okay? Trust me in all the directions. So that means what it is here, the white people wanted to buy the lands. So they wanted, as they are settlers, and they wanted to buy lands. Okay, see, once let me tell you is that these Red Indians were being killed. Okay, they've been shot, killed in the time of wars. Okay, when the whites settled, when they settled in America, they've been hunted and killed down just for nothing but just for a piece of land, for gold, for silver, or for anything. Okay, but to tell you like another the live examples, let me give you, there are many examples. You know how these Red Indians will be treated, like, these white people, as soon as they used to catch these Red Indians, and they would be treated, they would keep them in a cage, and they would take them, and they would they would put them into a particular like circus and all. Okay, and show them that, see, this is how Red Indians are, how they do and all. They used to treat them, they used to they were like museums. The Red Indians were being treated like as if you see in a museum a statue being standing there. Same way, this is how they were being treated. Okay, but this man, a great personality, Chief Seattle, a great man who wants to come and tell to the people, to the white people, that I give my word. He says, my words are like stars that never change. He says, whatever Seattle says, the great chief at Washington can rely upon with as much certain as he can upon the return of the sun or the season. He says, whatever Seattle says, the great chief at Washington. Who's this great chief? Now, this great chief is none other than George Washington. Now, see, George Washington is actually, he says that, see, great chief at Washington. See, George Washington was the first president of United States of America. Okay. Now, where is this Washington? Washington is nothing. Also, you can also say now there's a state in America called Washington D.C. Okay, Washington State is actually is a specific northwest region of the United States of America. Okay, now listen to me very carefully. He says that whatever Seattle says, the great chief. Who's this great chief? George Washington. Okay, in this particular story, Chief Seattle tries to refer George Washington in many different ways. But only thing is that you have to understand right now who is this great chief. The great chief is none other than George Washington. Okay, remember that. He says that the great chief, that is George Washington, can depend upon me. Just like as the sun returns, just like how the season returns, he says. He is trying to make a reference. He's trying to make a reference. That's how, like how poets try to refer using the figure of speech in their poems. Similarly, Chief Seattle tries to make his reference. Like how in Indian cinemas, the hero is being referred like he's a lion, he's a tiger, he's a cheetah. Like, how heroes have been referred like a cheetah and lion and all. Okay. Similarly, same way, Chief Seattle is also trying to refer his words and his character. You can depend on me, you can believe me, just like how the sun returns the next day, just like how the season comes back, every season comes back on the same month. Same way, you can depend on me, you can believe my words. That's what he says. And then he continues. The white chief says that big chief at Washington sends us greetings of friendship and goodwill. He says that the white chief, who's this white chief now? Now let me tell you. He says the white chief. Now who's this white chief? White chief is none other than the governor Isaac Stevens. Now here, white chief is nothing than Isaac Stevens. So the Isaac Stevens had come earlier and met Chief Seattle. Okay, regarding what they met, we will come to know. We will come to know slow by slow. But the big chief, now who is that? It's not now the white chief. Sorry. The white chief says to Seattle that the big chief at Washington sends his greetings. He says that the white chief is who? Isaac Stevens. Okay, and the big chief. Who's the big chief here? As I told you earlier, George Washington. Chief Seattle gives him a lot of reference. First, he talks about great chief. He calls him great chief, and now he calls him big chief. Okay, remember that. Now the big chief is who? George Washington only. Okay, see, he says big chief at Washington. See, he says that big chief at Washington. That is who? George Washington only. Okay, remember that. Sends us the greetings. He sends us greetings. So the Isaac Stephen tells to Chief Seattle that George Washington sends him greetings. Greetings of what? Friendship and goodwill, he says. So what was it? Friendship and goodwill, he says. Let us see what he is trying to say. This is kind of him, for we know he has little need of a friendship in return. He says that the offer that he has made is a very kind offer, but for as far as we know, where is friendship has come right now? What kind of friendship has come in return? That is what he's trying to say. Let us see what he says. He's continuing. Okay, still, what kind of friendship now? Why the friendship has come right now in this kind of discussion right now? He says, okay, his people are many. They are like the grass that covers the vast prairies. He says that his people are everywhere right now. See, his people are many, he says. Many means they are been multiplying. They're coming. They're settling. They're everywhere right now in our lands. Okay. They are now. He makes a simile here. They are like the grass that covers the prairies. That means vast prairies. That means prairies means what? A large open area of grassland. See, you can see the grassland on top of the screen. Okay, just like you can see how many grasses are there. He makes a comparison, just like how grasses are filled in every part. Same way, the whites have been settled down. There are so many people right now. He says they resemble. See, he says they resemble the scattering trees of a storm-swept plain. The great, and I presume good, white chief sends us words that he wishes to buy our lands, but is willing to allow us enough to live comfortably. Okay, now listen to me. He says that. Now listen to me very carefully. See, he refers still now that his people, that is who, the white people, have scattered just like trees here and there, everywhere. Okay, just like storm. Okay, he says, see, this particular line, they resemble the scattering trees of a storm-swept plain. That means it is an alliteration. Which figure of speech is that? Alliteration. That is means S scattering, storm S, okay, swept plain. That means a repetition of words or repetition of sound is called alliteration. Okay. See, he is making an alliteration here, saying that his people have been scattered like trees here and there, he says. Hmm? And then he says, the great. He says, the great. And I presume good. That means he says, the great. The great chief is nothing but George Washington. And I presume good. Okay. We've always presumed good things. Okay. See, George Washington, on behalf of his people, that he wants his people to be happily. Okay. Same way, Chief Seattle wants his people to live happily. Understood? So that is what he's trying to tell in that way. White Chief sends us words that he wishes to buy our land. See, now what is the discussion was going on all this time? And the discussion is here that the white people wanted to buy their lands. And that is the reason he's asking a particular question, saying that the white chief, that is who? Isaac Stevens, he wishes that he wants to buy land. That Isaac Stevens is none other than, like in indirect, is getting orders from George Washington. Okay. So directly he's getting orders from George Washington to discuss with the native people and tell them to buy the land and take the lands from them. So that is what he's asking. So he's saying that the white chief wants us and he wishes to buy our lands. But is he willing to allow us to live happily or comfortably? That is what he's asking. Okay. Will you assure us that you will make us to live happily or comfortably? That is what he's saying. Are you understanding? Listen to me very carefully. And then he continues. We will have a little discussion because in between there are a lot of things, that a lot of meaning is there. So you have to have a lot of things. So let me explain the things step by step, and let me tell you what are these. Okay. This indeed appears just, even generous, for the red man no longer has rights, that he needs respect, and the offer may be wise also, as we are no longer in need of an extensive country. He says that it is, it appears, it clearly appears, it is generous. It's a generous offer. It's a very kind offer, he says. For the red man. Who's the red man here? That is the Native Americans. The Native Americans, that is the Red Indian tribes. Okay. Have no longer rights now. He says that it's a kind offer, but it is an offer that these our own people, that is we Native Americans, that is we red people or Red Indian tribes, have no longer rights now. Have no longer rights at all. Because we have no rights of respect, he says. And there is no offer that has been a wise offer. The offer that you people make is not a wise one, he says. For no longer we don't need an extensive country. Why? Because he's saying you people you're extending like anything else. See, there's a belief like how you should understand. Let me make one comparison. See, the Red Indians used to believe, let me make a comparison between a Red Indian and a white, that is Western people. Okay. Or you can say a tribal belief, Western belief. See, the tribal people believed land is a natural resource. Okay. It cannot be possessed by man because all life depends on it. Listen to me very carefully. See, the tribal people believed land is a natural resource. It cannot be possessed by man because all life depends on it. Okay. That is how the Red Indians believed. Whereas these Western people believed the universe was made for man. That is how they believed. The universe was made for what? For man. Every square foot of the planet belongs to man. So not for animals, not for plants, not for creatures, not for insects, not for anything. It only belongs to man. Are you understanding? Are you getting my point? See, he's trying to tell, are you really understanding the way we believe? the way we believe, that he's trying to tell that everything is connected to us, even the rocks, even the soil, even the dead leaves, even the trees, even the mountains. Okay, remember that. Even the flowing river, even anything, even the air, is everything connected for them. The Red Indians used to believe in that way. They used to worship in that way. See, when Red Indians used to go for hunting, when they used to kill a hunt, they first used to thank to the god. They used to pray to the god for thanking this wonderful meal. Okay, they used to pray for their ancestors. They would pray for their ancestors and thank that, and they used to take it. So that is how it was connected. They would take the permission, and they would pray for the animal soul, that it could live into the spirits. That is how they believed. That is how Red Indians believed in that way. And then he says, now let me see how he keeps continuing. He says, there was a time when our people covered the land as the waves of the wind ruffled sea, covered its shall pay foe, but that time long since passed away, with the greatness of tribes that are now but a mournful memory. He says, there was a time when my people covered this land, he says, just like the winds of the waves. Okay, just like how the winds of the waves have been disturbing. Okay, just like how the sea shells that are covered with hard shells everywhere, like the tortoise, just like how the tortoise has its shells. Okay, the turtles have its shells. Okay, 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 like just like that. Our people were being covered in such a way. They were being extended in such a way. It is a long time now. It has been all passed down. The greatness of our tribe is no more right now, he says. Everything has gone away. Everything, our greatness of our people, the greatness of our tribe, the greatness of everything is all gone. Now, if I think about it, it's nothing but it brings me sad memories. That is what he says. He says that if I think about it, it is only going to bring me sad memories. That is what he says. He says, I will not dwell, no, nor mourn over our untimely decay, nor reproach my pale face, brothers, with hasting it, as we too many have been somewhat to blame. He says that I will not depend on it, he says, or I'll not think about it more, or I will not be mourn. Mourn means I'll not be sad about it more. He says that time has destroyed. See, before time could destroy us, everything has been before time could destroy us, he says. Or not, I will not think of being disappointed. That is what he says. My pale face. Who is this pale face? That means it is a kind of a usage. Pale face is nothing but it is a name used for uh, or like for white people. Okay, for white person. Okay, so this a pale face means white American, white people. That is white people. Okay, okay. So he says, as pale faced brothers, with hasting it, as we too may have been somewhat to blame. He says that the the pale face brothers are right now hasting. That means they are in hurry in doing things in every matter. They're in such a hurry. They want to do this. They want to buy that. They want to finish this everything. He says that even we also have to be blamed. He says, I'm not blaming on just only you white people. Even we also have to be blamed. That is what he's trying to tell. And what is that he's trying to tell? Let's continue. Okay. And he says, youth is impulsive. When our young men grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong and disfigure their faces with black paint, it detonates that their hearts are black, and that they are often cruel and relentless, and our old men and old women are unable to restrain them. Thus it has ever been. Thus it was when the white man began to push our forefathers ever westward. See what he's trying to tell now. Listen to me. He says, youth is impulsive. That means youth are always into actions. Nobody can control them. Youth are always into actions. They always grow angry, whether it might be whatever situation it could be. Youths, young people, young blood, they usually they don't understand, because for them they have no capacity of understanding at that time. The only thinking is that hit, win, war, that's all. That is what it is, or that is what. So they don't have the real imagination. Their imagination is all the imaginary thinking, is everything wrong right now. Now, so what they do is that he says they paint the face with black, with a black paint. Okay, it it denotes that, saying that they have a black heart. That means they are merciless right now, and they often go very cruel. They become very harsh, relentless. They become very harsh, and that is the time where they go for war. So what is he trying to tell is that the young Native Americans, that means young Red Indians, have waged war with white people. There was many wars have taken place between the whites and the Red Indians. Many Red Indians were being killed. So Chief Seattle says that many young Native Americans, that is Red Indians, have been killed in the times of war. And it is for loss for whom? For old men and old women, that is mother and father. It's a big loss for them, since they are not being able to control. And that is the reason from there onwards, the Red Indians were being settled in every part, okay, every part, especially in East, especially in Northeast and Northwest and Southeast and Southwest, and every part they were living. But right now, the white people have pushed their forefathers, that means have pushed their fathers, forefathers, fathers and fathers, okay, towards where? Towards the West. See, to tell you the real fact, see, when these people settled, when the white Americans, when the white Europeans, when the European people have settled, as they settled in America, they waged war on them. They raised war on them. Okay, okay. They took their lands, just like how Britishers came to India. The same way these white people also did the same for Red Indians. But now they are gone into extinct. They're no more now. Even for a imagine there's a natural resource being found in the land, they would tell them to vacate the land. But for the Red Indians, everything is sacred for them. The land where they're living, the land where they are living, and the surroundings, everything is sacred. They used to pray for that. Okay, so that is what they were being believed. But whereas the West never, whereas these Western people, these Western beliefs never had. Let me tell you another thing. See, the belief, I'm talking about the belief. See, the tribal people believed that every part of earth, be it a valley, a mountain, a rock, is sacred for them. Okay, wherever they live, every part on earth, if it is a valley, if it is a mountain, if it is a river, if it is, as I told you, if it is a dead leaf, anything, even a rock, it is sacred for them. Whereas white Westerners usually believed what they believed: man is made to rule the world. Okay, man must be the master. Okay, mastery of the world. He must be the master of the world, and he must conquer the universe. That is what he believed. The Europeans, the Westerners usually believed, that is, the Western beliefs usually believed in this way. The white people believed in this way, that whatever is done, it might not be sacred. Everything is for man. That's all. And that is the reason I'm trying to tell you. He says, but let us hope that the hostility between us may never return. He says that, let us hope that the enmity between us may not come back right now, he says. That means the Red Indians are they are, I would think that they're fed up. They don't want to lose people more now, because now, step by step, slow by slow, their growth is reducing. It's not increasing. The white people's growth are increasing like anything else. Whereas these Red Indians, their people are decreasing slow by slow. Understood? And he says, we would have everything to lose, nothing to gain. See, we would have everything to lose, but nothing to gain. Revenge by young men is considered gain. See, as according to young men, revenge is considered. You might have seen in every movie, the hero's father will be dead, and the hero will take a revenge. But in real life, it's not like that. Okay, that is what they say: forgive and forget. But here, he says, revenge for young man is considered as gain, even at the cost of his own life. See, even at the cost of his own life. But old men who stay at home in times of war, and mothers who have sons to lose know better. See, that's what he says. Old men who stay at home, they cannot fight war. They stay at home. But mothers are the only people who know, who have lost, who know the pain better when they lose a son. That is what he's saying. And then he says, a good father in Washington, for I presume he is now our father as well as yours, since King George has moved his boundaries further north. Our great and good father, I say, sends us word that if we do as he desires, he will protect us. See, our good father. See, he's referring George Washington as a good father in Washington. For I think he is now our father, he says. He thinks that he is now our father, as well as yours, as well as you white people, he says. Since King George, now see, once upon a time, America was also being taken the orders of King George. King George the Third. He was the king of United Kingdom. Okay, so it was taken orders from the. So these people were being taken from King George orders, but later on they fought for the freedom, and now it has not been controlled under by United Kingdom. Now America became its own country. America became its own country once they fought with this British army. So the American people fought with the British army and said they named this country as its own country. Okay, so it is not being ruled by any monarchy. Monarchy government means what? By a king or a queen. Okay, understood. So he says, since King George has moved out all his boundaries right now, from the north and everywhere, now our great and good father, who's he? Our great and good father is George Washington, he says. He sends us the word as if we listen to his desire. He says that he sends us word if we listen to his desire, that he will protect us. He will protect us, he says. He says. And then he says, his brave warriors will be to us as bristling wall of strength, and his wonderful ship of war will fill our harbor so that our ancient enemies far to the northward, the Hydas and the Cimicians, will cease to frighten our women, children, and old men. He says, he says, if our father, a good father, a great father, George Washington, if his warriors, that means if his soldiers, if they will to protect, just like the wall of strength, he says, just like the energetic, that means bristling wall, that means bristling means what? Energetic wall of strength. And his wonderful ships means ships, big ships, okay, or warships, that is what he says, have been filled in every harbor, okay. Our ancient enemies from the northward, he says. That is, who are the ancient enemies? That is the Hydas and the Cimicians. The Hydas and the Cimicians. Now these people are frightened. They have frightened, he says. They have scared our women. They scared our children. They scared even our old men. That means he says that these are our enemies. I hope that our great father, our good father, will protect us from our enemies. That is what he's trying to say. Okay. Then in reality, he will be our father and we his children. He says that in reality, he will become our father. He will be our father. George Washington will be called as a father, and we as his children, he says. Okay. But can that ever be? Your God is not our God, he says. He says, can that ever be? He says. Will that become? Will that come again? Will that happen? That is what he says. Now, when the Britishers settled in India, when they started to rule, they called we, that is us, like dogs. They called us, we are like dogs. Just imagine these white people, how they might have treated the Red Indians. Are you getting my point? Now he says, your God is not a God. Your God loves your people and hates mine. He says that your God only loves the white people, not us. He says. He folds his strong protecting arms, loving about the pale face, and leads him by the hands of a father leads an infant son. See, he says that your God only loves your people. He is protecting them with the strong holded arms, he says. Just like a father holds his younger son, infant son, so that he might not fall, same way your God is protecting you all, he says. But he has forsaken his red children. He says that your God has forgotten us. He has forgotten the red children. See, the red Indians are actually red in color. Not red means not the paint red I'm talking about. The color is reddish in color. Like how I'm dark, okay? Don't think that I'm fair. I'm not fair. Okay, I'm dark. But we cannot say that we are fair. We Indians are fair. We are not fair. We are brown. Understood? We have varieties of colors. Okay, some are dark, some are darker, some are not that fair. We are not fair as the white people. Okay, we are also happy to apply fairness creams, but usually we don't become fair using those fairness creams. Understood? So we cannot be like the white Americans. Okay, we are trying to be much fair and fair, but we are not fair. We are brown in color. Okay, remember that. Okay, understood. Now he says, your God only loves you all. He has forgotten. He has forgotten this red children, he says. If they really are his, means if really we are his children, he would not have forgotten us. He would not have forsaken us. He would remember us. That is what. He would protect us. Our God, he says. Now he continues. Our God. Okay. He says, our God, the great spirit, seems also to have forsaken us. He says that our God, he says, our God, who are the great spirits. Now, see, as I told you, now let me first explain that line. See, he says that our God, the great spirits, have also forsaken us, means have also forgotten us. Now, let me tell you what it is. See, these red Indians would worship their ancestors. That means they would worship the dead. Dead means the dead people, their great grandfather, great grandmother, great people, whoever it is, even any animals. They would pray for them. They would pray for the souls. They would pray for them. So that is, they would call them as the great spirits. They would pray for everything. So the most important is that it is the it is like how they believe that their ancestors are still living among themselves. Okay, that is how they believed, and that's how they used to pray, and that's how Chief Seattle is saying, even our great spirits have forgotten us. He says, and then he continues. Soon they will fill all the land. Our people are ebbing away like a rapid receding tide that will never return. See, he says, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I missed a line. Your God makes your people wax strong every day. Soon they will fill all the land. Our people are ebbing away like a rapid receding tide that will never return. He says that your God is making your people, that is white people, spread from one another, okay, like the melting wax when it is heated. See, when a wax is heated, when you see a wax candle, Okay, when you just keep when you keep the wax there, it keeps heating. Okay, just imagine when a wax falls on a cloth. Okay, when it falls on a cloth, just imagine you just iron that particular thing, the cloth on the wax. The wax keeps spreading slow by slow. Okay, it never stops. It keeps spreading, keeps on spreading. Similarly, that is how we're saying your people are spreading one another here and there. Soon they will be filled in this land. He says, soon this land will be filled by your people, he says. And slow by slow, our people are ebbing. Ebbing means what? Low, are getting low in state. Okay, and they will be rapidly gone away. That means they will be soon gone, retreated, just like the bigger waves that comes and disappears and will never return again. Just like the bigger wave comes and return, but as it will never return again. That's what he says. Once in a blue moon, a big wave will come, but it won't return again. It won't come again. That is what he's trying to say. The white man's God cannot love our people. He says that the white man God cannot love our people, or he would protect them. He says that he cannot love our people and would protect us, he says. They seem to be orphan who can look nowhere for help. He says that we are seem to be like how? Like an orphan, where we are looking for help, he says. Okay. How can we be brothers? How can you call us that we are brothers right now, he says. How can your God become our God, he says. Like, how can your God become our God right now? And renew our prosperity and awaken us our dreams of returning greatness. How can your God become our God? How can you change our prosperity, our respect? That is what he says. Our dreams. For all these years, our ancestors have dreamt about this land. How could, and the greatness of our people, how could you just vanish it like that? That is what he's saying. How could you change it like that? That means indirectly he's trying to say that some of his people are actually trying to follow the Western style. Just like how we Indians adapted the Western civilization, same way some of his people are trying to adapt the Western civilization. Also, you can also think, are you getting my point? Or his people are reducing slow by slow. Understood? So that is what in many things. And then he continues. If we have a common heavenly father, if we have a common father, that means common God, then let me tell you, he must be partial. He says that if we have a common heavenly father, if we have a common one God, let me tell you that he's partial. He differentiates. Thus God differentiates. For he came to his pale-faced children. For he is only for the white people. He's only for his white people. We never saw him. He gave us laws. See, listen to me very carefully right now. For we never saw him. We never seen him. He gave you laws, he says. See, he gave you laws, but had no words for his red children, whose teeming multitudes once filled this vast continent like stars filled the firmament. He says that your God has made laws, but no laws for red children. Your God has made laws for the white people. Laws means here, see, in every religion we have some commandments. In Christian religion, we have 10 commandments. You can see the 10 commandments in the screen. Okay, now listen to me very carefully. He says that laws are being only made for the white people, not for the red children at all. These red children, once upon a time, were in large numbers, multitude. They were being filled in this vast continent, just like the stars in the sky. Same way, our people were being filled everywhere. No, we are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. There is little in common between us, he says. He says, no, we are nothing but a two distinct race. Race means what? Different people. Our race is different, you white people race is different. Or he says separate origins. Our origins are somewhere. The Europeans' origin are from where? From the Aryan civilization, from the Aryan civilization, or you can say, or Aryan race. Just like the master race, in how the Germans believed the master race, same way the Europeans have been derived from the Aryan race. But our race is different, he says. There is a little in common between us. Little means what? We breathe the same air, you breathe the same air, we can see, you can see. If we cut, we bleed, you bleed. Same way. That is the difference, he says. To us, he says, now listen to me very carefully. To us, the ashes of our ancestors are sacred. He says, now listen to me. To us, the ancestors' ash are sacred, and the resting place is hallowed ground. He says that the resting place. Now, for what he's saying, the resting place, that means the burial. The Red Indians used to bury their people, and the burial ground is a very sacred place for them. Understood? Their burial ground is the most sacred for them. Remember that, children. That means they would also worship their burial. For them, a burial ground is the most sacred thing. Of course, death is the most sacred thing. Sacred thing. When you see graveyard or cemetery, it's the most sacred thing. But people get scared when we see a graveyard or a cemetery. We get scared. ಅದಕ್ಕೇನಂತಾರೆ ಸ್ಮಶಾನ. When we look at the smashana, we get scared. When we see a graveyard, when we see a cemetery, we get scared. The reason why is because of the cinematic world. They have shown graveyard as a very horrifying place, but to tell you, it is the most sacred place. It has been believed in every religion as the most sacred thing. Death is a sacred thing. We all are born, and one day we all need to die. That is the reason the Red Indians they believed that the place, the resting place, that is the burial place, is the most holy and a sacred ground, he says. You wander far from the graves, he says. You people wander far from the graves of your ancestors and seemingly without regret. He says that you people wander far from your graves. Of course, only once in a blue moon you will come to the grave. But for us, every day we worship our ancestors, seemingly without regret. Of course, nowadays Christians do celebrate that All Souls Day there is on November 2nd, All Souls Day. The same way, okay, we remember that All Souls are the days that we remember. All the dead people we remember on that particular day. Okay, it has been followed from traditionally, but most of the Christians do not follow it. Forgotten culture. Same way, but here our chief Seattle says that our ground, our resting ground is the most sacred thing, he says. And he says, your religion, listen to me, your religion was written upon tablets of stone by the iron finger of your God so that you could not forget. See, he says, your rules, your religion that is your religion's rules, has been written on a tablet. That is called tablet, guys. This is called tablet. Okay. On a tablet of stone, he says. On a tablet of stone by the iron finger. What is this iron finger? Now, iron finger is nothing but it is a biblical phrase, which means finger of God. It is referred to the word written to the stone tablet. That means God himself has written on the stones. Okay. It was written in Mount Sinai by Moses. Okay. It was brought it down. Okay. But it was brought it down by Moses. These 10 commandments, where God wrote it, when God wrote it on the stone by his own finger, these rules in a tablet stone, okay, and it was brought by Moses. Now, who's Moses? You have to read the story of Moses, okay? If you want to know about it, you can check out from internet also, okay? Now, these tablet with these rules which have been written are called as 10 commandments, written by the immortal finger, that is the finger of God. He says that your religion rules are written on a tablet of stone of iron finger. Iron finger is nothing but finger of God, that is God, where you should not forget it, where you people should not forget it, he says. The red man could never comprehend or remember it. He says that the red man could never understand it or remember it, he says. Our religion is a tradition of our ancestors. He says that our religion is a tradition of ancestors, the dreams of our old men, given them in solemn hours of the night by the great spirits, and the visions of the schemes, and is written in the hearts of our people. He says that our God is our ancestors, is our tradition. Okay, it's a belief from generation to generation, he says. It is a dreams from our old men given in the times of ours, in the night by the great spirits, he says. So that our chief, that means a scheme, that is a great, see, Chief Seattle's, when he was young, he had his own chief. So chief by chief, it was being handed over. The tradition was being handed over by chief, that is what. And our rules are written in the hearts, he says. It is written in the hearts of our people, he says. Your rules were written in the stone, but our rules are written in our hearts of our people, he says. You're dead, he says. Your dead cease to love you and the land of your nativity. As soon as they pass the portals of the tomb and wander away beyond the stars, they are soon forgotten, never return. Our dead never forget this beautiful world that gave them being. They still love this verdant valley, its murmuring rivers, its magnificent mountain. Huh? Okay, sequestered vales and verdant-lined lakes. Okay, and bays and ever earned and tender found affection over the lonely-hearted living, and often return from the happy hunting ground to visit, guide, console, and comfort them. He says that. Now in this passage, listen to me very carefully. He says that your dead has gone, has showed the love, and showed the land of this nativity. As soon as they pass away in the gateways of the tomb, that means you can see the tomb there. As they pass away and have been buried in the tomb, and they all wander in the stars. He says, wander beyond the stars, he says. But soon they have been forgotten and they will never return. He says that your people are soon be forgotten, they will never return. But whereas our dead will never forget us, he says. They are living in this beautiful world because this world has given them everything, he says. They still live in the flourishing valley, in the murmuring rivers, in the magnificent mountains. Okay, in the whales, in the small whales, in the lakes, in the oceans, and everywhere, wherever they found affection, wherever they found their their loving affection in it, they live in every living heart, he says. They have been guided, and that is the reason, and that is how they often return. They guide us in the places of hunting. They guide us in the place of visiting from one place to another. They console us. They comfort us. In every sort, our people still live among us, he says. That means he's trying to say, in every often they live in the hearts of a people. Okay, they are the ones who always be there when we are happy. When we go for hunting, they also guide us in hunting. They guide in every step we take. They console us. Okay, they comfort us in every part. They do that because we don't forget the dead, he says. Because we don't forget the dead, we says. Day and night cannot dwell together. The red man has ever fled and the approach of the white man, as the morning mist flees before the morning sun. See, day and night cannot come together. Okay. Same way the red man and the white people cannot dwell together. Just like the morning mist comes, okay, as quickly the morning mist comes and it quickly goes away. Just like when the sun comes, when the sun appears, the morning mist disappears, he says. Same way, we cannot dwell together. As you people call us brothers, where is the thing that you have given rights to live with you all? Where is the thing that you have given rights to live among us? Where is the thing? You people have bought lands. You people even have bought lands of a sacred, where burial ground has been done. Even you people have bought it there. We cannot go there and worship. You people have done it in that way. That is what he's trying to tell. And then he says, however, your proposition seems fair, and I think that my people will accept it and will retire to the reservation you offer them. Then we will dwell apart in peace, for the words of the great white chief seems to be the words of nature speaking to my people out of the dense darkness. He says that the offer that you make seems to be quite fair, and I think that my people will accept it, and they will give up all the reservation you offer them. See, you will offer us everything, and my people will give up every culture. They will give up every reservation that whatever they used to believe once upon a time, and they will dwell among y'all in peace, he says. As the words of the great wise chief says, his words are like nothing but nature himself is speaking to them. Nature himself is speaking to my people. He is right now convincing our people from the darkness, like a thick darkness right now. He's convincing our people. That means, what is he trying to say? That his people are right now changing. Some of his people also go following up the footsteps of the Westerns, of the Western culture. Slowly, they are also trying to follow up the Western civilization as they have been offered. Only when people offer, you get tempted and you would like to do it. Similarly, that is how he's trying to say that his people are getting offered, and that is the reason they are all following up. And one fine day, they will also forget his tradition, his culture, and everything. That is what he's trying to tell. It matters little where we pass the remnant of our days. They will be, they will not be many. The Indian's night promises to be dark. Not a single star of hope hover above his horizon. Sad voice winds moan in the distance. Grim fate seems to be on the red man's trail, and wherever he will hear the approaching footsteps of his fell destroyer, and prepares stolidity to meet his doom, as does the wooded doe that hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter. See, he says, now listen to me very carefully. He says, it matters a little for me, as my people are changing their culture and tradition. As you say, according to remnant days, now what he's trying to say, according to Christian theology, see, a small minor, now what he's trying to refer, now listen to me. According to Christian theology, a small minority of people, okay, who will remain faithful to God and so be saved, okay. The word literally means, that means remaining, that means the remaining days. Now here what is he trying to say? Our red Indians, that means we people, red Indians, our remaining days are coming to end, he says. Slow by slow, we are not going to be many. Just like how the Christian theology says that there will be only small amount of people who will remain only faithful to God. Similarly, our people will also be a small minority right now. Okay. As once upon a time, we used to pass the night which would be more promising, he says. When we used to pass the night, which would be more promising for us, for our people. He says, this night what we had was a very promising for us. Not a single star of hope hover above his horizon. That means he says, not a single star that will be hanging over there, hanging in the air, hanging in the sky, as it appears to meet. He says that as it appears to meet, not a single star will be visible there. Sad voice will be everywhere in the wind, he says. Will be mourning for grief and suffering, he says. Depressed fate seems to be on. That means the fate is nothing but depress, a sad feeling, which is right now in the path of a red man. Wherever he puts his footstep, he can only hear the footsteps of the hunter, he says. He says, whichever path that our people take, they would hear the footsteps of the hunter, he says. That means he's trying to say their career, their life is nothing but going to be destroyed, is going to be fallen. Just like how the wounded deer is been wounded, and when it hears the approaching footsteps of the hunter, it knows that it is going to end its life. It knows that it is going to be the end of its life. That is how our people will also feel the same, he says. A few more moons, a few more winter, and not one of the descendants of the mighty hosts that once moved over this broad land or lived in happy homes protected by the great spirits will remain to mourn over the graves of a people once more powerful and hopeful than yours. He says that there will be no moons, there will be no winters. Okay, he says, what is he trying to say? That this land, this broad land, was filled with happy people of us. It was being protected by the great spirits, he says. And now we'll just only remain to mourn, be sad, cry, weep for the graves of our people, for the dead people, where once were very powerful, which was powerful than yours, he says. Okay, he says, but why should I mourn at the untimely fate of my people? He says that why should I weep, mourn, be sad because of our destiny, our fate of my people? Why should I? As tribe follows tribe, nation follows nation, he says. Like the waves in the sea. See, tribe will follow its tribe. Okay. I follow my Indian life. I cannot follow up the life how the Westerners follow. Can I? I cannot follow up how the Chinese people follow. I cannot. I cannot follow up like how the New Zealand people follow up. I cannot, because I have my own tradition. Same way, we all have our own tradition and own culture. We all follow up our own cultures and traditions. Same way. He says, tribe will follow tribe. Nation will follow. I follow my nation. I respect my nation. We all go by it according to our rules. We respect our national anthem. We respect our national flag, saying it is a very secret thing. Same way, he says, nation will always follow the nation. Tribe will also follow tribe. Okay, just like the waves of the sea. Just like how one wave follows by another wave. Same way, he says. It is the order of nature, and regret is useless. He says it is the nature that follows. It is the nature itself, he says. And now, right now, regretting is useless, he says. Your time of decay may be distant, but it will surely come. For even the white man whose God walked and talked with him as friend to friend cannot be exempt from the common destiny. We may be brothers after all, we will see. He says that your time will also come. Your time of perish will also come in one time. You will also surely have the fate, how the Red Indians have seen their fate. He says, your God once walked and talked with you all, just like a friend to a friend. Okay, you will also have the same common destiny as we had. You call us brothers. Let us see, and we will also see our brothers coming back to us. That is how he says. Okay. We will ponder your proposition, and when we decide, we will let you know. But should we accept it? I here and now make this condition that we will not be denied the privilege without molestation of visiting at any time the tombs of our ancestors, friends, and children. He says that we will ponder, we will think carefully about the proposition, the offer that you have made, and we will think and we will decide and we will let you know, he says. But we should accept it, he says. I but here I make one condition, he says. You will not you will not deny us, because you will not even disturb us or attack us or make us angry when we visit at our tombs of our ancestors, friends, and children. When we visit the tombs of our ancestors, you should not attack us, you should not disturb us, please, he says. Because every part in the soil is sacred, he says. In the estimation of my people, that means in the opinion of my people, that every soil on this land is sacred for us, he says. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy events in days long vanished. He says that hillside, valley, plain, grove means what? Wood, forest, everything, okay, is connected with some sad and happy moments, he says. Now it is all vanished, he says, but it is sacred for us, he says. That means completely been destroyed. Even the nature has been destroyed. Now let me tell you is that whatever Chief Seattle has said, it is right. Because we, slow by slow, are destroying even forest also. Once upon a time, America has beautiful forest. Now that forest is no more. Because of what? Urbanization. Big cities. You want to develop industrialization, urbanization, everything is coming up. Now, you don't find that thing right now. Similarly, that is what he's trying to tell. He has also predicted the future. You can also say that this man even predicted the future, saying that everything, the nature is connected and it is important for us. As I tell you, see, the traditional people believed we are part of earth. The earth does not belong to man. Man belongs to earth. Understood? How the people believed that the earth is, that we are the part of earth. The earth does not belong to any man. Man belongs to earth. See, but whereas the Westerners people believed there is no bonds to man. Man has complete right, and even on other species. That is how the Westerners believed. But whereas Chief Seattle says everything's sacred. He says even the rocks which seems to be dumb and dead, as they swelter in the sun along the silent shore, thrill with memories of stirring events connected with the life of my people. And the very dust upon which you now stand responds more lovingly to their footsteps than yours, because it is rich with blood of our ancestors, and our bare feet are conscious of the sympathetic touch. He says that even the dumb rock which you see, even that is also connected. Even that is also very important. Even that is also sacred, he says. Where where that rock might carry sad and happy moments also. Even the dust that you breathe and you breathe out, even the dust that swirls around near your feet or near your body and all, even that is also connected, because it is connected from the blood of our ancestors, he says, because it connects the sympathetic touch of our people. That is what he says. Our see, then he says, our departed braves found mothers, glad, happy hearted maidens, and even the little children who lived here and rejoiced here for a brief season will love these somber solitudes, and at every tide they greet shadow returning spirits. See, he says that Our departed braves, that means our departed, the red Indian warriors, found mothers, loving mothers, happy, glad-hearted women, and even the little children who lived here, lived happily, rejoiced every period of time, even in the even in every moment, will always love the somber solitude. That means would always love the dark and lonely places, and even the evening time of the great shadows when they return to this world. They will be here, and forever they will love. And when the last, see, he says, when the last red man shall have perished, he says that when the red man, when the last man shall have perished, and the memory of my tribe shall have become the myth among the white men, these shore will swam with the visible dead of my tribe. And when your children's children think themselves alone in the field, the shore, the shop, upon the highway, or in the silence of the pathless woods, they will not be alone. In all the earth there is no place dedicated to solitude. See, he says that. See, when the last red Indian will perish, will vanish, then there will be the memories of my tribe, he says. Though we'll be invisibly dead, and my people are no more. But remember, you white people, he says, your children's children, your children, when they think all alone, okay, when they all are living all alone in the field, or in the store, or in the shop, or in the highway, or in the silence, pathless woods, they will not be alone, he says, because we are there with them, he says. Our spirits will be with them, will be protecting them, guiding them, everything. We'll be there for every step that they take. We will be there for them. In all the earth, there is no place as lonely, he says. There is no situation of being alone, that whoever is alone, we Indians, we Native Americans, we Native people, we Red Indians will be there for every people who think that they are alone. At night, when the streets of your cities and villages are silent, and you think that the desert will be that they will throng with the returning host, and once filled them and still loved this beautiful land, the white man will never be alone. He says that at night, when the streets of your cities and village are silent, and you think that this time it's been deserted, that nobody lives, but remember, we will return with multitude, he says. And we will once fill this land again with the spirits, he says, who once loved this beautiful land. We will be there. But remember, from there, the white men will never be alone, because we will always be there in this land for now and forever, he says. Let him just, let him be just and deal kindly with my people, for the dead are not powerless. Dead, did I say? There is no death, only change of worlds. He says, let him just deal kindly with my people. That is who? The great chief and the white chief. That is who? George Washington and Governor Isaac Stevens. Deal my people kindly, but remember, the dead are not powerless, he says. Dead, did I say? There is no death, he says. Only the change of worlds. That means, change of worlds means what? We live in a living world, they live in a dead world. Dead world means they live in the spirits among us. That is what he says. And that's the end of our, our short story. See, guys, remember that, as you already know, that everything, if they sell the land, that the Chief Seattle wants his people to remember that this is very sacred. as sacred as the clear water of the lakes and mountains and everything which is people are always felt that is connected and is always there for them. And the great spirits will always be murmuring with their voices each and everywhere. And that is how they believed, guys. And that is how the Red Indians believed the tradition, saying that everything is important. See, the Red Indians believed they always never want to destroy the forest. They always never want the forest to be destroyed. They had a belief like that. Because once the forest is destroyed, the rivers get polluted. Understood? Because rivers, they believe that rivers are the life givers. As we say, water is life. See how they believed. See, once they believed that if forest is destroyed, the rivers get polluted. That is how they believed. Okay. But whereas for Western people, for them, there is no such things. There is no such things at all. They didn't believe. They believed that there is no such things like, destroying the forest, the river will get polluted. Of course, now we have inventions, machines that can change everything. But how long? If a complete nature is destroyed, then there is no source of anything. See, Chief Seattle talks about such a way he talks. See, his thinking gives us a lot of thing. He also talks about painful depiction of war. He talks about how war is all about. It really has no meaning at all. It is pointless. Though he says that our young men, our young warriors, they might have fought, but ultimately they also lost life. Am I right? They also lost. Mothers have lost many, have lost children. Mothers have lost everything. This is what Chief Seattle said. See, the city of Seattle is there in the state of Washington right now in USA. It is named after him. Actually, it is named after him. See, actually, this speech was actually rewritten many times. Okay, it was being rewritten, but it was rewritten, but it got rewritten in the year 1887 by Dr. Henry Haysmith. Okay, so this text was being, because as Chief Seattle spoke in his native language, so that is how it has been done. Okay, I hope that you understood everything clearly and commonly. Is there any other doubts? You can, if you want, you can raise to your teacher and ask, and let your teacher get back to me. And if you have anything, just let me know. I hope that you understood Chief Seattle. So any doubts if you have also, just think about it. I hope that you all understood. You might be going through the slides also. I hope that you can go when you go through the slides, you might get some points. Okay. That is how. Okay. That is how. That is what Chief Seattle was trying to tell. Understood. You can see on the screen that, say, trees have been destroyed. For them, trees were very sacred. Everything was sacred for them. So that is what it is all about. Hope that you all understood clearly. See you guys next time. Have a nice day. Take care.